Hey Matt, you mentioned Alan yesterday, and then Rogers talked about how it sets a standard. How do you teach the kind of work ethic that he has? And if you can't, what does that say to the rest of your team when they see a player like that?
Yeah, I don't think you ever teach that. Either guys are going to do that or they're not. And the only thing you can do as a coach is try to reinforce it by showing what that looks like, showing the standard. And I think Alan takes that to heart, and he does a great job. And he's always leading out there in his own way. And it just seems since, you know, we've all started working together that he consistently gets the job done.
What do you think about what y'all have gotten out of Preston while Z's been out?
Yeah, Peace had a lot of great moments. I think he's playing more consistent. I think the energy and effort's there. I think he's doing a good job of being a leader on our defense. And, you know, he's just got to keep going. We got to keep stacking those games back to back to back. And but we need him to be a disruptive force for our defense to be at its best.
You said something after the game Sunday about making special teams fun and how Mo has done a good job of that. What does that entail? How do you make special teams fun? What has he done to do that?
I just think first of all, he has such a great energy about him. I think he is an unbelievable teacher and an unbelievable communicator, and the way he breaks everything down, I think he does a great job of challenging guys, and I think he gets the most out of these guys, and they enjoy going to his meetings. He always has some great sayings for the guys. I just think he's a great person. The guys know that he truly cares about them, and I think that makes them more inclined to want to go out there and do well for him.
What's your favorite Maurice Drayton saying?
Oh, there's so many. You're putting me on the spot. He had some great ones the other night. I just can't. There's so many of them. So it's hard to pick a favorite. You guys ask him, ask the players.
We got the motorcycle analogy yesterday where he was talking about driving down a highway without a helmet or something like that, how it correlates to special teams. It was pretty good. Hey, I wanted to ask you about Billy Turner quick.
Yeah.
You know, the conversation so much has been about offensive line, you know, the young guys there, but how important has he been during this first month of the season, you know, with his experience there?
Yeah, I'd say he's the rock. He's the guy that has the most experience, and certainly he's been in a lot of different situations, played a lot of different positions for us, and you know he is the veteran of the group right now. So I think just everybody, he's such a great example for everybody to look at, and just in terms of how he goes about his business on a daily basis. You'll see him, whether it's pre-practice and or post-practice, he's always doing the little things in the training room, taking care of his body, because he knows that, I mean, for guys to go out there and play at the best of their ability, they've got to get their body right. And he not only gets his body right, he gets his mind right. I think when needed, he provides a calming voice in that room, and a veteran, experienced voice that those guys lean on.
You've kind of gone up against a couple secondaries stinned by injury. What do you see out of Pittsburgh with guys like Hayden and Fitzpatrick back there running that?
Yeah, they've got, I think this is one of the better secondaries we'll have played. Certainly, Minka is a Pro Bowl player. He's all over the place. You can't really count on what maybe the defense is supposed to look like, because he is very calculated when he takes his risks, and he is just a playmaker on the back end. Hayden's been doing it for a really long time. Edmonds is another really good safety. So I think they got a lot of pieces, and then when you combine that with their ability to put pressure on the quarterback, even just when they rush four, it creates problems for offenses.
Matt, Najee Harris had, I think, 19 targets last week. What's the challenge preparing for a running back like him?
Well, he can do it not only in the run game, but in the pass game. What does he have, 27 targets on the season? He's a big physical back, and I think I was talking to you guys yesterday about just the importance of having a great tackling plan when you're going against a back of that caliber. We watched a clip of him yesterday where he stiff-armed a Raider defensive back and like threw him down on his back. and was able to get extra yards. There was a couple clips in the Cincinnati game where he caught a ball out the backfield and he gets like 20 yards, makes like 5 guys miss. So we're going to have to swarm around him and do a great job of maintaining leverage and wrapping him up, because he's a big guy that can make you look silly.
Did I hear you right yesterday? You said you haven't prepared to face the Steelers since like 2012.
It's been a long time.
How weird is that?
It's rare. It's really rare. But I will say, like, this, just talking from an offensive perspective, I'd say that the foundation of the defense has been in place for years. A lot of their coverage principles, it certainly has helped. I would say back in my days in Washington, had 4 years with Jim Haslett there. That came from a similar system, or it came from the Pittsburgh system. So some of the coverage principles are there. Certainly personnel is a lot different than it used to be. And I would say that, it's evolved just like every other aspect of football evolves. So it's a great challenge, man. This is a really sound, a really good defense. They're physical. They are so disruptive. I'd say they're very opportunistic. I watched all their sacks from the last 2 years, and I think I got nightmares from it. They do a great job of getting push in the pocket. They're really sound in their rush lanes. And they got game wreckers up front. Hayward is all over the place. Watt's all over the place. Ingram. I know Tuitt's he's on IR right now or whatever, but there's a lot of great players there that can cause you a lot of problems.
Not that they weren't confident before, but do you see it already this week with your younger offensive linemen, maybe a new swag about them, a little bit of all right, we can do this at this highest level? You went against Bosa last week, you got a lot this week.
Yeah, I don't think you can ever start to feel really good about yourself. You just got to go back to the grind and prepare the right way, and I don't get that sense from those guys at all. I mean, I'm sure they're more confident every time you go out there and you're able to produce. I think that naturally occurs, but they understand, like, every week in this league, you better bring it. You better bring your A game. So I think they're just ready to refocus and get back to work.
How would you job Stanovich has done?
Oh, he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. Him and Luke Buckus, I think they're, they mean so much to this football team, this organization, just the job they do, getting guys prepared, the ideas they bring each and every week, just as far as not only in the run game, but with our protection plan. So, we're lucky to have both of those guys here with us.
How would you see your run game is trending?
I think it's trending the right way, but again, every week's a new challenge, and we just have to be more consistent, I would say, in terms of with our run efficiency, because I think there are some really good moments where we're able to spring some 10, 12 yarders. We haven't really hit the home run yet, so we're still looking for that. But I think it is a process, especially when you are having a different 5. It seems like every week up front. That takes a second.
Was there any concern with MVS's scan?
In terms of long-term?
Long-term stuff, yeah.
No, I don't think it's going to be too long, but he's not going to be out there today at practice.
As far as the run game goes, I think Aaron only had like 30 yards in his first 10 carries Sunday night. You guys stayed with him, and obviously had a good fourth quarter and finished strong. How important do you think that was to keep staying patient when it wasn't there in the early going?
Yeah, I think that just is part of the offensive philosophy, and sometimes I know it gets frustrating because you're always trying to hunt those chunk plays, and typically those come in the passing game. So, but I think it's so important just to keep a defense off balance, to make them honor the run, and then also it's all predicated on what you're seeing from a defense. If they're going to sit back there playing soft coverage, then you have to be willing to run the football. And I think that's going to be a big part of this game as well, because they are big, physical, stout. It's not always going to be pretty, but we have to keep on trying to win the line of scrimmage, and getting those 3-4 yard runs are going to be critical to our success. So we're not sitting there in 3rd and long all day.
Is it hard from a play calling perspective when the tough plays aren't there in the run game early on to stay with it, when you know that you got Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams that you can get chunk plays in the air?
Yeah, I think that's always kind of the predicament that is going on in my mind, but I just know that it's also very, very important to stay with it. I felt like there's certainly been times over the last couple of years where we've gotten away from it, and it hasn't done us well. So we're always going to try to run the football.
In your opinion, is Watt the best defensive player in football?
Oh, if he's not, he's right there. I mean, it's hard to him, Aaron Donald, and there's a lot of. I think Hayward probably doesn't get the credit that he deserves as well, because that guy is a game wrecker. So, yeah, it's hard to pinpoint. It all depends, kind of like what you're looking for. But Watt is all over the place. Certainly, this is the first time I've really had a chance to sit down and study him. You know, he is so talented, and then when you mix that with the effort and the relentlessness that he displays every time he's out on that field, it's doesn't come as a surprise to how he's able to generate these big time plays. I mean, he's all over the tape. You see the ball out. He does a great job when he gets to the quarterback of raking the ball out. He does a great job when he's making tackles of trying to punch the ball out. So he is definitely a force to be reckoned with.
I was going to mention the fumbles too. I think he led the league in 19, and then he was right up there in 18, where maybe I had it flipped. When you face a guy like that, I know you work on ball security every day, but do you guys do more of that during a game week against a guy who's been known to force fumbles, or you just kind of stick with your plan?
Yeah, I'd say we train for that all the time. I think the one thing you have to do as a coach, though, is you got to highlight and show the guys those examples and make sure that they understand just the demeanor which they're about to face when he's coming in there. So we certainly highlight it.
When you look at Ben Roethlisberger, obviously last week not exactly his best game, but what are you talking to your defense and to Joe Barry about, knowing, as you said, Harris and the offense that they've got coming in?
Yeah, I would say that anytime you're dealing with a future Hall of Famer, you know, you take that last game with a grain of salt, because you know what he's capable of doing. So by no means is there going to be any let up from us in regards to our preparation. We know we got to be on point, and you know, all you have to do is look at the guy's past. I mean, he's been one of the stars of this league for a really long time. He's a Super Bowl winner. So we've got a lot of respect for him as a football player.
All right, let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
You okay?
Got you now.
Great, thank you, Sarah. Some quarterbacks, Coach, that have played 17 years in the NFL, the game becomes more condensed for them, just in terms of how far maybe they can throw the football. That's not the case for Aaron. 17 years in the league, how would you still see him getting better? Because he gets better every year, every game, as we just saw with that last play that, took you guys to win a football game in San Francisco. Well, where do you see those nuances where he's still getting better?
Yeah, I think it's just everything we ask him to do. We ask him to do a lot. And I think it's just the ownership and what we're asking him to do. I think it's just all of us from an offensive perspective being on the same page. I think one area that I can speak to specifically is just how he's led these last 3 years. I think he is very cognizant of the needs of his teammates and what he needs to tell each and every individual. And he also understands he's dealing with some young guys on our offense. And he does a great job of, when needed, putting his arm around them and trying to pick them up, or, when needed, getting on them a little bit to put that pressure on for them to go out there and perform. But yeah, certainly his skill set is, in my opinion, second to none, and we're fortunate to have him as our quarterback.